milliner in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, and I am coming to you from my studio, which is in my home. You can find the address to my studio, which is open to the public, at www.hatjunkie.com, Junkie. And you can also find me online on Facebook at The Hat Junkie and on Instagram at The Hat Junkie. And if you would like to stay in touch, just follow me there, or best of all in my books is to go to my website, hatjunkie.com, and if you're on a phone, just what's that called? Swipe down to the bottom and you will see join my email list. And I think on a desktop computer, it's somewhere there on the right. So just look for that and enter your email. I promise not to spam you. I'm trying to send out my blog once every 2 weeks or so. I never share emails with anybody. So yeah, that's just a great way to keep in touch in case, you know, Facebook or Instagram decides that I don't fit into their algorithm that day. That's the most reliable way to find me. So yeah, today I have a few things to share with you. I'm going to take you with me on some of my walks through beautiful Lunenburg. And I have some natural dyeing to share with you. I, of course, have some hat news to share with you. I have some hand carding and spinning to share with you, and anything else. Oh, and some felting. So yeah, stick around for those things. And yeah, we will start with hats. So obviously, first of all, we're going to talk about the hat on my head, which is one of my hand knit and felted hats, and this one is mine. And I think I made this well over 2 years ago, might be going on 3, I'm not sure. I use Canadian wool, it's Dorset wool, and I knit it very large, and then I shrink it down to size, and then I make the flowers out of merino wool. Lately I have been incorporating a lot of natural dyeing, and I love to mix the naturally dyed yarns with the natural sheep shades. So this is a natural sheep shade, and I'm wearing mine, one, because it's freezing and my studio is always cold, so this keeps me nice and warm. But I also wanted to show you that after years of wearing this, there is literally no wear to this hat at all. So unlike microfibers, like polar fleece, which I do make some polar fleece hats too, but the wool ones, if you can wear wool, they don't wear out. So I love them for that reason, and there's a million other reasons I love wool. I probably won't go into that too much today, but if you have been following me, you'll know that I am shifting more and more to natural fibers, because that's where my heart lies. So this is the one that you can't have, but I do have several. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3 berets in my shop right now, and I'm always making more. So let me show you what is available in my shop, and these guys are all on my website. So similar to what I have on, they've actually gotten better over the years. So I made them just a wee bit deeper, so they'll come down more over the ears. And yeah, this one, yeah, I think I perfected the flowers and then added leaves. And you can see that the Latvian braid here, I mixed an indigo dyed yarn. Yeah, so these are slow hats. They take me forever and they will last forever. So let me show you what this one looks like on. So yeah, you can see that this one comes a little deeper. I can always make it shallower if you prefer the one that I made for myself, the original one, but I do actually really like them when they come down a little lower, and you can also then really have this extra fabric to pull over to the side. Yeah, so there's one. You can find them on my website if you go to shop. Oh, hat here. Just keep the hat on all day and you don't have to worry about that. If you go to shop and then you go to knit felt hats, and that's where you will find them. And so these ones are available, but you'll see I also have custom listings if you don't mind waiting a few weeks. Okay, there's another one. So stripes and flowers, that is sort of an ongoing theme in my life. I just love stripes and flowers together. So this one is 2 shades of sheep shades, and then these are merino wool wet felted flowers. And yeah, I will share a video later of me making these flowers. So there's this one. And in the berets that I have available, here is another one. I guess it actually needs a hang tag. So this one, the pink is dyed with cochineal, which is a little bug that lives on a cactus in South America. It's the prickly pear cactus, and they are farmed little bugs. And it's the female that the cochineal that gives the red. It's yeah. Okay, I have to be careful not to go off in tangents. I'm about to talk to you about carminic acid, but I'm not going there now. We're talking about the hat. Yeah, so that's how I got this pink, and then the dark brown is also a sheep shade. So yeah, all Dorset wool, all Canadian, and so cozy and warm. I don't find them itchy. I mean, you feel that these are wool. It's not like merino where it's that super soft, but it's not like let lopey, which actually, as much as I love it and I'll wear it, next to my skin would drive me crazy. So it's not like that. So if you're not like crazy sensitive, I think you'll be fine. And then another style that I have right now in the shop is my Penelope hat. And yeah, I love these. This is, if you're a knitter, this is seed stitch. And then of course when it's felted, it has this wonderful texture that kind of reminds me of those Russian hats. My dad used to wear one. I don't know, sort of shaped a little triangular. I guess they were made from like a lamb's skin or something. So yeah, there we go. That's these guys. You can wear them down, or you can flip it up like that. And then these 3 flowers are made differently. They are, first I needle felt each petal and the center, then I connect them to the center ball, and then I wet felt them. And these are wet felted leaves. So that's how I get that shape. Maybe one day I'll do a little tutorial on that one. So yeah, that's what I have in the shop right now. I have been making a lot of them. Excuse me. You see my face turning red. I guess I'm warming up. I have been making a lot of them, and it's sort of a dream come true, but they are going very quickly. And now my goal is to bring them to you quicker through the magic of social media and videos. Yeah, so yeah, I have basically kind of been posting on Facebook, and then often somebody will just say, can I have that hat? And then I just ship it out. But if I can get more made, I can actually get them up on my blog and on these videos and reach more people. But this is what I have right now, and if you follow me on Facebook, you can see other styles I've made. All right. So now I will bring you to a day in my studio where I was working on making big sheets of felt in order to make these flowers on my hat. Yeah, so felting is made, wet felting is made by laying out the fibers of the wool, and you sort of want to alternate the layers, and then you need soap and water and friction, and then you end up with felt. I also finished doing a batch of natural dye. I do natural dyeing for two reasons, well, three reasons. One, because I'm kind of obsessed with it. I just love seeing the colors that can come out of plants, and in the case of cochineal, little bugs. And then also seeing how you can shift the colors to by adjusting the pH level. There's just so many ways to play with the colors. It's just another black hole, a rabbit hole, another rabbit hole of learning. So yeah, I get pretty involved with it. One is I like to dye the yarn for my hats, but also I have been dyeing sock yarn and then delivering it to my local yarn shop, which is the Mariner's Daughter. It's on King and Montague Street in Lunenburg, and it's the sweetest little yarn shop. At the moment, I'm not selling the yarn directly myself. I would like to, but really when people come to see me, they are not thinking yarn, they're thinking hats, and so I really don't have that audience right now, and I'm happy to be working together with Faye and Hannah at the Mariner's Daughter. So if you like my yarn, head over there or give them a call. They can ship out to you. So I'll show you some of the skeins I have been working on. So this was my cochineal. And if you are a natural dyer, I'm going to give you one tip that I discovered. This is my second time doing a cochineal dye bath. And the first time I was kind of frustrated because it took me so long to wash out the skeins until they stopped bleeding. And I didn't put cream of tartar in with the mordant, which I use alum, and this time I did. I put it in there because I wanted to try to shift the color, because apparently you get more of a red, but I would say I still got a pink. But what I noticed was that the color really didn't bleed when I was washing it out. Like hardly any came out. It really stuck into the yarn. And then I did another dye bath the next day, and I didn't put in the cream of tartar, and I could not stop it from bleeding out. So then I took the yarn out, and just to see what would happen, I put some cream of tartar back into that dye bath and put the yarn back in, and sure enough, it held it. So I looked it up, and apparently it really does work as an assist to the mordant. And so I really, if you are a natural dyer or playing with natural dyes, I truly recommend adding cream of tartar to your dye bath, because it's going to save you a lot of water and a lot of work from rinsing it out. So these ones they have to finish drying. They're almost dry. And then I'm going to skein them up and bring them down the street to the Mariner's Daughter. Along with these ones, these are, so you can see how they'll look skeined up. Cute, right? That is a play on my old label, just where my hair is black and now it's gray, and I've got knitting needles in my hand because this is me in my current incarnation. So yeah, they're cute and they make a really nice gift, I think. So think Christmas. Yeah, these are 3 different shades of green, which were achieved with marigold and goldenrod, and then over dyed with the indigo. So yeah, I am for now really just dyeing the sock yarn. I would like to change that at some point, but not right now, because I think it's something that you can easily just buy yourself one skein. They are not cheap, but it is so much work. Amazing amount of work. But the thing is, I do love to knit socks along with many other things, but I often find I just don't get the colors in commercially dyed yarn that I want. So let me show you. This is a sock that is naturally dyed. So yeah, I dyed that with Madara root, and then this pale yellow, I think that was Queen Anne's lace, and actually this is a little bit of commercially dyed. Well, it's dyed by Lichen and Lace. She's a hand dyer. So, but you can see that you would get a very similar color if you used cochineal. And the base that I use is 80% merino and 20% nylon, and it's recycled nylon, which I feel good about. And it's a non-superwash base, so it means that you are getting it just isn't as plasticky looking. Like when I use superwash yarns, I find they have a sheen because they're coated in a polymer, and these don't have that sheen, so it's a little more matte. Yeah, and I love it. So now I'll take you over to a little video of indigo dyeing. I guess I'll explain a little bit how indigo is dyed. I explained it in the video a bit, but basically indigo is not soluble in water. So in order to extract the color from the indigo, you need to adjust the chemistry of the dye vat. And how you do that is you are raising the pH level, and you are also adding a reducing sugar. And I use actual fructose, but I get it from, in this time I used pear. I have used banana, so you're cooking down large amounts of overripe fruit, and then you are adding it to the dye vat. And these two things together, the pH level, which I'm raising with lime or calx, and the reducing sugars, create the right environment in order to make the indigo soluble. And it's an ongoing process. But it was complicated at first, and now that I've been doing it for a while, it's sort of becoming second nature. So hope you enjoyed this little video. Here you see I have been dyeing with cochineal, which gets the most beautiful reds and pinks and all kinds of colors. I then revived my indigo bath. So it's been sitting dormant for about a few weeks, and I'm stirring to revive it. And I have to check the pH level. I need it to be fairly high. It was a bit low, so I added some calx or lime. and this raises the pH level, which then it's one of the things that allows the indigo to dissolve, become soluble in water. I took some of those cochineal dyed skeins and dipped them in the indigo to see what I would get. I thought it was going to be burgundy. That was my theory. But what I really got, well, actually here we see I am also over dyeing a previously dyed skein of indigo. And here we're seeing some of the colors I'm getting from the cochineal dye, and you can see I'm really getting some beautiful purples. And there's that lighter green that I've over dyed that's turning darker. So after a lot of dyeing, the indigo bath gets tired. And what you saw there was that when you put the spoon under, you could see blue, and you really don't want that. What you want is this color, which is like an amber. So when the indigo vat is ready to dye and you dip the spoon underneath, you'll see an amber. So there's some of the purples that I got from the indigo dye. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I live and work in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. And if you don't know or have not heard of Lunenburg, make sure to look it up, because I'm not kidding when I tell you that it's the most beautiful little town on earth. I know there's other beautiful towns, but Lunenburg is really special. It's a UNESCO heritage destination, and it's very well preserved, and we have some beautiful walking trails. The town itself is only 4 kilometers square, but everything in the surrounding areas is also beautiful. So I've lived in other really beautiful places, but sometimes when you leave those places, you have to go through some not so beautiful places. But in Lunenburg, like, you just go from one beautiful little town to the next, and the nature around it's gorgeous. So just about every morning, my routine is coffee, knitting. I of course first have to feed the animals who are squawking at me, and then after coffee and knitting, I head out for a walk, and often walk again in the afternoon. So I thought I would share one of my walks with you. I hope you enjoy. I mentioned earlier that in one of my future fantasies, I would be dyeing not just sock yarn, but other yarns. And I want to show you what I would really love to be dyeing one day. So these are the little pieces of yarn that I use to tie my skeins as I'm dyeing them. And I always just look at them and I fall in love. So I love rustic yarn. And by rustic, I mean often woolen spun, which I'm going to show you in a video soon. So it's a little fuzzier, a little loftier. Worsted spun is when all the fibers are going in the same direction and you create a very dense yarn, and it's excellent for hard wearing things or things you want drapey. But if you want like my sweater, which I'll also talk about, which is sort of very airy and soft, kind of like you just want to hug it, you need a woolen spun yarn. So this is a woolen spun yarn, and the yarn is Bartlett Yarns, and they are a very old spinning mill in Maine. And it's funny, I think about local, because what I also really love is local yarns. Like the closer to me, the better. It's just part of what I believe in. Not that, like, my sock yarn is not local, it comes from South America. It doesn't always work in our world. This is just another thing I can talk about forever. It doesn't always work to get everything from close to home. And you know, I love raisins and coffee and and avocados, and there's just things that you're just not going to get in Nova Scotia, and we've been trading from time immemorial, so that's not going away, and I'm part of that world too. But I also really believe in why get something from South America when your neighbors have it or are growing it. So in this case, Maine to me is sort of local-ish, because as the crow flies, it's just not that far away. And so not that I've approached Bartlett Yarns yet, but I would love to be able to buy their yarns wholesale and dye them, and dye sweater quantities, because look at those just beautiful colors. And they have a mule, what's it called? A mule spinner, just like Custom Woolen Mills. It's a very old piece of equipment for spinning yarns, and it creates a really close to a hand spun. So yeah, as I spin, as I'm learning to spin and spin my own yarns, it gets harder and harder to go back to commercial yarns, because you can really create these sort of dream yarns. And Bartlett Yarns is a little bit of my dream yarn. I love Custom Woolen Mills too, which is what I use for my hats. But if you're looking for a 2-ply, Bartlett Yarns makes those kind of beautiful yarns. And their colors are beautiful too. You should check out their website. If you're in the States, I think they're very reasonably priced. Everything's more expensive in Canada right now. So yeah, that's my long-term dream. But let me also share some knitting with you before I share my spinning video. So I'm working on several things all the time. One of the things I'm working on is, you may have seen this, I knit this a few years ago. This is my Paper Doll Sweater by Kate Davies. And I originally knit it quite long with waist shaping, and I knit the neckline just like she has in her pattern, which is corrugated rib and quite closed. And it is the one thing that every time I put on, I felt really horrible. Just frumpy. I don't know how else to describe it. And then I just kind of stopped wearing it, which always breaks my heart, because it's so beautiful. It's made, I used Mondim yarn by Retrosaria, Rosa Pomar, Retrosaria. And I love it, but I find on me, if a neckline goes here, because my shoulders are broad, it makes my shoulders look broader. And I know, I'm not complaining about my body. We're all different, and I don't mind my wide shoulders, but I find if I bring in a neckline, I'm really accentuating that, and they get wider. So Nothing against football players, but I don't feel like looking like one. So I finally ripped out the neckline and re-knit it and made it wider, so that's good. And then after making my hand spun sweater, which I showed you in my last video, I discovered that I actually do like a more cropped sweater. It's not super cropped, but I just have like about an inch more to go. And then I think I'm really gonna love wearing this over dresses. So that is one of my goals, is to go through and take a look again at some of the things I've knit in the past few years, and reach for the things that I don't like to wear and try to fix them. And I really encourage you to not be afraid to rip out a neckline, re-knit a cuff, cut your knitting. There's tons of great videos, like Craftsy has one, I think it's called Sweater Surgery by Carol Feller. And once you learn how to be confident cutting your knitting, you can really just make things look the way you want them to look. So the other thing I am working on is, it's all bunched up on the needles. I think I even need to get a longer wire. But this is the Madara Shawl by Inese Sang, and it's just got tons of bobbles, and you'll be able to see the lace better after I block it and stretch it out. But yeah, there's the beautiful lace pattern, and I'm using, this is Custom Woolen Mills 1-ply, which is super squishy. And this is also the Custom Woolen Mills 1-ply that I dyed with Queen Anne's lace. Yeah, so I am working on that very slowly. I'll show you the pattern in the book. So yeah, this is the Amoriso magazine, seen backwards. And there's the shawl. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah, so it's a very fun pattern to knit. I did come across a challenge, and that's when I got to the 2-color knitting over here, stranded knitting. There's all this beautiful texture with the pearls and then long floats, and I don't know if any of you are knitters and know how to catch a float behind a purl stitch. Like, I can do that on the wrong side, but when the purl is on the right side of the knitting, I can't really catch that float without it showing on the right side. So I finally figured out what to do. I think at least my solution, maybe there's a better one, she doesn't talk about it in the pattern at all, which is the first few rows where you are knitting and purling, I would work as intarsia. So yeah, it's pain, it's a total pain, but I think to have those long floats going across on a shawl, I feel like they would just stop the shawl from stretching properly. So yeah, I would do intarsia for those first few rows, and then once you clear the purl stitches and are just on the knit, I would then go to stranded knitting. So yeah, just technical stuff for knitters there, but that would be my solution. But it's a beautiful pattern, and right now I am sort of focused on my blanket, which I showed you last week, and my hats. So I haven't been doing this as much, but I know I'm going to come back to it. There isn't really much that I don't come back to eventually. I don't mind putting things down for a while. Yeah, so that is what I am working on. And is there anything else before I bring you to the video? No, I think I am going to share my my spinning video, and then I will exit with another walking video. So It's been lovely spending time with you. Thank you so much for being here. And please don't forget, if you like the video, click like. It helps, you know, YouTube loves me more the more likes I get. uh, Not that I take it personally if you don't like it, but it will help me if you want to give me a hand. And subscribe also will help YouTube know that I'm really an important person that they need to take seriously. And yeah, and then head over to my website, hatjunkie.com, and sign up for my newsletter if you want to keep in touch. All right, take care. I hope you enjoy these little videos. What you're seeing here is me carding some Shetland wool that is a local Nova Scotia sheep fleece. And these are antique hand cards that were gifted to me by my friend Sharon Orpin that belonged to a beautiful fiber artist who passed away in the last couple of years, Ellie. So what I'm doing is I'm just opening up the locks of wool. It puts air inside the wool and creates a light and fluffy kind of a yarn. It's called a woolen spun, or this is a woolen preparation, and then I'm going to do a woolen spin, which will create a very warm and fluffy, fuzzy sort of a yarn. It's a very rhythmic and meditative action, and like everything else, there are faster ways to do it, but I seem to enjoy doing it the slow way. And here I am just in that very final step, creating a roll-lag, and I'm ready to take it over to the spinning wheel. I'm now spinning that roll-lag of Shetland wool on my spinning wheel, which dates from around 1820 and was made by Frank Young right here in Lunenburg County, Nova Scotia. This wheel was a gift from my husband Tony last Christmas, and it's pretty much my prized possession. It's like spinning butter. And so I'm spinning woolen spun, which means that I'm allowing air into the fiber as I'm spinning. And for any spinners out there, I'm allowing twist into the fiber supply. Yeah, it's a very rhythmic, beautiful, slow motion. So I lied. Before we go for our final walk through Lunenburg, I wanted to talk a little bit about my sweater. So let me just give you a twirl. It has this sweet hood. And I did design this sweater. Maybe it's been 2 years already, I don't know. It's called my Bees and Roses sweater. I wear it all the time when the weather turns cold. I find stranded knitting is just amazingly warm, and it's a woolen spun yarn. So it's a combination of custom woolen mills, the brown, and then the colors are lichen and lace, which is the base that she uses for the rustic heather, I think she calls it, is it's a Briggs and Little base. So yeah, all Canadian. And yeah, I do really love designing most of the things I knit. I mean, I love to knit other people's patterns too, but I do love to design my own patterns. I have not yet been able to really figure out how to write out patterns. I mean, I can write them out, but the whole process of bringing a pattern to life is very time consuming, and there's a financial investment too, in terms of tech editing and making sure that it's a pattern that people aren't going to come back at you and cry because you made some horrible mistake. So it's one of my future dreams is to be writing and sharing more of my patterns, but in order to do that, I have to be willing to first do it without any kind of financial gain, because that's just the reality. Because while I am known in the world of hats and hat making, I really am not known in the world of knitting. I mean, that's okay, but in order for me to be selling enough patterns to make it worth my while, it can't be from, the few people that know me, and I can't sell 10 patterns and put a month of work into something. So at this point in my life, I do have to focus on the things that I can make money from. So, but that's all to say that I would like it to change, and as soon as I can start to, I will start to focus on writing some of my patterns and sharing them, and yeah, let me know if you're interested, because somebody came up to me at the market, a friend, and she was just really encouraging for me to write out some of my patterns, and it made me feel good. It just, yeah, did give me a little push, making me think maybe it could happen. So yeah, never underestimate the power of praise. I'm not above it. If you pat my back, I'm more likely to do it. So that's coming in the future. Now I will take you for that walk. Bye again.